Here we go. Welcome to the Profit Tool Belt podcast. It's just for construction and contracting business owners who are interested in the business of the contracting business. And actually, today's got a real heavy remodeler slash renovator angle. Now, you're going to love it. Look, you're here because you want to work smarter and not just harder, right? Well, you're in the right place. My name is Dominic Rubino, and I'll be your host. Today's guest is Kyle Hunt. And we're going to talk about how do I stop doing free estimates. Hands up, anybody who's frustrated with the amount of free estimates you're doing that go nowhere. Well, we're going to put a stop to that today. For those of you who are new, I want to tell you what the podcast is all about because we do have quite a few new listeners. Welcome to all of you. And for those of you who've been around for a while, who've listened to the other couple of hundred episodes, see if you can follow along with the format change that I've made. What's this podcast all about? Well, I show contractors how to get back in control of their construction business, even if they don't know where to start. See, the truth is you don't need a lot of extra time or even a business degree to build a profitable and solid contracting business. You just need simple systems. Look, folks, if having some fancy education was the key to success, every professor would be driving a Porsche and every teacher would be driving a Tesla, right? It's not the case. What we have here is the ability to make things come to life. That's why you're listening to this show, and that's what we're going to learn about today. I want to show you simple systems for getting to the next level. The simple systems that will give you quiet confidence. For too long, our industry has been keeping secrets. Well, I'm here to put an end to that. On this show, you're going to learn how to put simple systems in place in 3 places in your company. 3 places. Number 1 is in the office, believe it or not. Number 2, on the job site, no surprise. And number 3, if you have a shop in your shop. Now, more important than that, I also show people the secrets to business success, which comes from how to work smarter, not just harder, and how to have a mindset of growth. The mindset is where it all starts. Your attitude, your approach to things is where you have the opportunities, and I have the biggest opportunities for growth. Speaking of mindset, a couple of dad jokes for you today. Now, why do I do dad jokes? Why do I do them badly? And why do I do dad jokes poorly delivered with poor timing? Because I want to open your mind. I want to get you smiling. I want to get the noise of the shop or of the job site out of your head. And I want you focused here, thinking about what we're going to be talking about today with Kyle. I need to get you in the zone of the entrepreneur, of the business owner, of the growth-minded business owner. That's where we're getting you. And this is the tool I use to do that. Now, I want to get you laughing. But I also want to give you some stuff to share this New Year's Eve, which is coming up, for you to share with your family or your friends. You know, all of us have some sort of family or friend network. I can imagine you're at a house party and there's a bunch of kids rolling around and you're the favorite uncle, the favorite dad, the favorite cousin, the favorite grandpa, whatever you are, or the favorite aunt, mom, sister. You got to have some ammunition, right? You need a couple of dad jokes. Well, here they are. My New Year's resolution, let's start with that. My New Year's resolution is to procrastinate. I'm going to start tomorrow. Love that one. I was going to give up all of my bad habits for the new year, but then I remembered nobody likes a quitter. And here's a couple of dad jokes, the daddiest of all dad jokes. Hey, kids, a phone and a firework were arrested on New Year's Eve. One was charged. The other was let off. Of course, that leads me to this one. Why should you stand on one leg on New Year's Eve? To start the new year on the right foot. All across the country, people are gasping, shaking their heads. And in spite of yourselves, you're laughing. I know you are. I can at least see the smiling. There it is. Smile. Okay, stop smiling. Try it. Don't smile. See, now you're smiling again. I love it. All right, listen. If you're a business owner who's curious to find ways to run your business profitably, to have more time off, to do the things you love. We're going to talk, by the way, about doing the things you love at the end of the show. To build a team you can rely on and grow a company that one day you can sell, where you've got decisions, positive decisions. You can sell it, pass it on to somebody else, or you can just live off the cash flow. Then you're in the right place. This is the show for you. Look, I'm a business owner. I'm also a business coach. The only people I work with are construction and contracting business owners who want to get their business to the next level. Now, I host this podcast because one day I want to be your business coach. As a matter of fact, I have a team of business coaches that I've personally hand-selected and trained. I have very high expectations for the people that join my team. and I'm proud of every single one of them. As you listen to this podcast, ask yourself if you think me and my team might be the right tool to help you get to the next level. Now, with that being said, let me go into business coach mode right now. I'm going to put on my coaching hat. I'm going to challenge you. In this episode, you're going to hear something. You're going to learn something from me or Kyle, or you're going to realize something. But on that, I want you to take action in the next 24 hours. So look at your watch, look at your phone, check the time. In the next 24 hours, you have to take action on something you learned here. And then I want you to pay attention to how that improves your business or your life. Now, imagine if that change was in place every day, every week, every month, or every year. What would your company look like at the end of a week, a month, a year, at the end of 10? I hope you know this podcast is built to educate, inform, and inspire you. So let me get into your head, and I'm going to ask you that inspirational question right now. Are you happy being a contractor who runs a few crews, or do you want to be a business person who just happens to run a construction company? By the end of today's episode, you'll know the answer. Aha, Mr. Kyle Hunt. How are you?
I'm doing well this fine day, sir. How are you?
You are. You look very serious right now, although I love your hat.
Was it my face and inflection was a little serious? Is that what you were noticing?
Yeah, everything was very serious there.
I mean, when you counted down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I mean, you look serious and then you flash this fake smile. Like I'm on recording now. I must have just still had a small smirk.
You're just.
But I can see there. Now I'm friendly.
Yeah, now you're friendly. No, it's all good. It's all good. You're a pro on podcasts. We'll come to that in a second, anyways. But maybe you could read out your hat so people know what is it.
Yes, it says remodelers on the rise.
I love it. Well, that's how you and I met, through your show.
Yes.
I love it. Today, I sought you. I seeked you. I hunted you. You because I want to talk to you about a problem that happens all too often in the contracting trades, which is free estimates.
Mm-hmm.
And you have some interesting, I like your approach to the free estimate conversation. Is the smiles coming back on your face?
Okay. Now I'm more cognizant of my smile. I'm gonna have to work on that.
Yeah, it's just a little salad in your teeth there.
Mm-hmm.
I meant to tell you that before we hit record. Kyle Hunt, who the heck are you? How is it you come to be speaking to all these contracting business owners all around the world?
Oh, you think I'm worldwide?
Yeah, this show goes globally. It's probably taking off the little green Martians in space.
Wow. I got chills almost thinking about that. So I am born and raised and still live in the great state of Michigan, and went to college. And then one fateful day, through some different entrepreneurial things, I got connected to a gentleman who, right before I graduated college, who ran a plumbing, heating, cooling, and remodeling business. And through another entrepreneurial thing, we connected, and he said, "Hey, I wonder if they're teaching this kind of thing at college there. We're looking to bring somebody onto our team to help with our marketing and our advertising, and to take over that new position in our company." And as he described it, I said, you're talking about me here. So we ended up playing around a golf, which I didn't show any mercy to him. I whooped his butt. None of this. Well, I'm taking a prospective employer out. I just played like I normally would. Don't show any mercy. And then we talked business, we talked shop, and I think he offered me a big $41,000 salary, which was music to my ears. Yeah,
Change your world.
Yeah. And because these kids coming out of college, back then, $41,000 a year. You kidding me? Plus benefits. Woo! Yeah. This is amazing. So I ended up working for them for 3 going on maybe 4 years. And as I got involved in that side of things, I started managing their showroom and their bath and kitchen designers. I got involved in the financial side of the business and just got more of an overall view of the remodeling and contracting world. And I've always been bent towards being an entrepreneur. So it's been about 16 years ago, I turned to my wife and I said, "Honey, we got you're a stay-at-home mama. We got 1 kid, another one on the way. It's a crappy economy here in Michigan." This was 2008. We got no money in the bank to fall back on, and I want to quit my job and start my own business.
Yeah. Isn't that a great kitchen table conversation?
Yes. And I mean, now she's like, remember, I just said it was the greatest idea ever. It was something like that. Kudos. We did pull the trigger on it. I kind of weaned myself off my former
Oh,
employer,
Kyle.
and kind of built up my side of things. And shortly after I started my business, just offering coaching, in particular at that point, marketing coaching, I kind of put
Right.
my flag in the ground and said, you know what? I know the remodeling industry. I'm going to
Mhm.
call these different home builder associations, start doing a little 10 top 10 marketing tips, picked up some remodeling clients, and have just been hyper focused on most of my clients do kitchens, baths, additions, basements, that type of work.
Mm.
And I've been hyper focused on that for 15 years.
You're in good company on this show because a lot of the listeners here do that or do that as part of what the other things they do.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I know each other through the podcasting world. My show takes the approach of we're in the business of the contracting business. We're
Yeah.
in the business of the construction business. So I like that background. I like that
Yeah.
background.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
don't have a lot of skills when it comes to swinging the hammer. I can paint a little bit. I'm pretty good at that.
Mm.
My grandpa on my dad's side was a painter. My grandpa on my other side, my mom's side was a builder. So I think it's in my blood.
Yeah.
But as I've been coaching over the years, I really coach around four key areas of financials, really
Yeah.
understanding our numbers, marketing, number two, number three is your sales process, number four, leadership. So do a lot of one-on-one coaching and that side of things.
Yeah. Very similar to me. Very
Yep.
similar to me.
Yep.
So today, though, we're going to pick your brain. We're going to crack open your skull and we're going to look inside and you've probably heard this frustration a lot of times. There's a business owner out there who's trying to grow. He is working harder than ever before. The work I keep saying he or she, but the work he's doing
I was going to
brings in.
correct you, but it's your show. I'm not gonna make a
Yeah.
big deal
I'm
about it.
generalizing. I'm generalizing a
Yes,
little bit.
yes.
So you got a business owner out there. They're doing such good work. They're getting lots of calls because people have seen their work. And so getting work's not the problem, or getting requests isn't the problem. Getting work is the problem because they are running and running and running, chasing free estimates.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're doing free estimates and doing all this free intellectual property work, really, which
Mm-hmm.
is what it is. They're not winning the jobs. They're not getting paid to do these estimates, and it's wasting their time. And actually, let me take it to one other level, Kyle. And I wonder if you hear this from people as well. I just went and bid a job, and I couldn't go see my son's soccer game, my daughter's softball game. My wife needed to go to choir practice, and I made her stay home to do this and that so I could do an estimate. And the people didn't even, go through with it, but it was a free estimate.
Yep.
So,
Blech.
do you hear the same? Yeah.
Yes. And heaven forbid we miss choir practice. Like my wife's the church choir director. So
Okay.
that's a
Yeah.
big problem if we miss choir practice.
It is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
7 o'clock tonight, we'll be there at 6:58 because to be early is on time, to be on time is late, and to be late is to be dead.
That sounds like something that I live by. But we have enough tough conversations at the table with our family. The one thing that, let's say in this case, your wife is the choir director, the one thing she counts on and looks forward to all week is that choir practice. And if you let her down because you're a business owner, and everybody listening is nodding their head. That situation or something like it is the worst.
Yeah.
Actually, go ahead.
Yeah, and I like how you're tying together this idea of free estimates, this idea of what we're going to talk about, maybe to mitigate some of that. And you're directly tying it to the fact that you haven't developed a more thoughtful protecting your time system when it comes to all of your estimating and pricing work. You're making that direct connection between work-life balance, which that's where I love to talk and love to coach is around. Yeah, we want to make more money. Yes, we want to reduce our stress, but this is also about our business supporting the life that we want versus the other way around, which is all too often the case.
So if I understand you correctly, today you're going to show us some things to say, very simple lines and positioning tools that will help us get our time back and reduce the stress in our family.
Sounds so powerful. Yes, I am going to do that to your worldwide audience.
Global. You should say global.
Global audience.
Yeah, global audience. So I've posed the question, Mr.
Yes.
Kyle. Mr. Kyle, I'm going to call you Sir Kyle. Sir Kyle, what should we do? If we're running a company where we're running around like a chicken with our head cut off, doing free estimates, and it's frustrating the heck out of us and impacting our life.
Got it. So part of the reason that we are running around and doing free estimates is because we have this thought in our head that that is exactly what we are supposed to do, and that is exactly what all of our prospective clients are expecting and want.
And all of our competitors are doing it too, right?
Oh yes, nobody could possibly be doing it differently. Everybody's giving a free estimate. Yes, indeed. So the part of the first thing is that if you believe that that is what you have to do, if that is your mindset, you're going to get stuck in it. And the fear of trying something different, or the fear of charging for the design and development work that you do, is going to prevent you from even considering it. You're going to have the fear that nobody else in my area is doing it. They're going to say no to me. There's all kinds of head trash around this topic that people have. So, the first thing that we need to do is deal with that head trash and deal with that mindset that you have, which is, I have to offer free estimates. It's the only way I'm ever going to sign any work.
Yeah. It's interesting that you start this whole thing talking about head trash. And I love the saying head trash. Have you ever heard the joke that says, gentlemen, you have a 4-inch problem?
I have not heard that one.
Oh, well, and it's not, I mean, you might have a 6-inch problem. And now people are tuning in very carefully. Although we don't curse or swear on the show, because but the 4 inches is the 4 inches between your ears.
Yes. I knew that's where you were going. My head didn't go anywhere else, like some of these people listening to this.
Yeah. But isn't it funny that it's what's going on in my head that drives so much of what comes out?
Yeah. So, some thoughts related to that is, what I like to say to clients is, well, first of all, let's really think through, and this is maybe coming from a little bit more of a remodeling focus, if we can just kind of go down that road. Let's say it's a kitchen remodeling project. When you step back and start to think about everything that needs to go into creating a design and a project development and all of the work that you put in to do that properly, and you start listing that out, that is a good exercise to do. All right, we actually provide some design services. Well, we do it through an outside designer, but we still provide that, or we do that in-house. We're going to develop the scope of work. We're going to deal with all of the zoning potential issues, all of the permitting potential issues. We're going to get our trade partners. They're not subcontractors. They're not sub anything. They're trade partners, people that we trust, that we worked with for years. We're going to be communicating with our electrician and our plumber and our drywall company, etc. We're going to walk our clients through all of the selection process and help guide that to make sure that when this kitchen contract is signed, that it's not a lazy scope of work, not very well thought out, and a bunch of allowances. No, that is not the way we're going to approach this. We want a detailed specifications, detailed scope of work. We want to squash all of the allowances into firm selections. And when we sign that contract, we want all of that to be figured out, because that's what's going to lead to a much more smooth, on time, on budget process.
Now, is that kind of what you say to people when they ask for a free estimate?
No, I'm still messing with the people's minds that are saying, can I do this? So just think between those 4 inches or whatever you were talking about, think about that and realize all of the work that goes into doing the upfront design and development properly.
Yeah.
You may not be doing all of that right now because you're offering free estimates, because you are trying to do that for everybody, and it's impossible. When you do this properly, the list of work that you put in to go through design and development is substantial. The next thing I would say to somebody listening and considering this is, you can still offer a free estimate. I'm happy for you to offer a free estimate.
Right.
Let's define our terms, though.
Oh, I like this. I think I know where this is going. So I want to keep it
just like
open
I knew where that whole head thing was going.
Right. So how would I offer a free estimate when you and I just said we shouldn't be doing free estimates?
Yes. If you really still want to offer a free estimate, what you can do is, on that kitchen project, you may do this over the phone. You may do this by visiting the job site and taking a look at it. And based on your years of experience, based on the project that they're talking about and that you're looking at, and based on other projects that you've done that are similar in size and scope, here's your free estimate. This project's going to range anywhere from $70,000 to $100,000. And then we just be quiet.
I love it.
Right? We be quiet. Call it a ballpark range, or call it a free estimate. There's your free estimate.
I want to help the audience understand two things that you did that I
Mm-hmm.
observed in that statement. So, because I want people to not just blow past this and go, yeah, that was interesting. Kyle did two things. The first thing he did was bracketing.
Mm-hmm.
So the bracketing was, you said, yeah, I can give you a free estimate. It's going to be to somewhere between $70,000 to $100,000, whatever you said, 100, 110.
Yep.
That's called bracketing. The lower number is pretty close to where it should be. The higher number is kind of a high Hail Mary number, right?
Okay. Yeah, fair.
And then the second thing you did, which was interesting, is you said, and then silence.
Yes.
Yeah, zip it. So guys, did you just hear that awkward pause on the podcast? So the power of that side, Kyle, why would you add silence after that?
Because I am looking for a reaction to the number that I gave out. I may ask, what are you looking to invest in this project? They may say, we really are not sure. You could respond with, well, that's awesome. I have always wanted to build $1 million kitchen. And then they'll go, oh, that was
I like your sense
funny.
of humor. That's
Yes,
pretty
right.
close to how I would do it.
Yeah, it'll get them chuckle. But we always, before we ask, how much are you looking to invest, we already have projects and kind of a ballpark range or a free estimate, if you will, in our head floating around. So we're able to then give them that ballpark range. And then the reason we're quiet is because we want to hear their reaction. They'll go from not having, what I like to call that is the moment of truth. The problem with free estimates, the way a lot of people are doing it, is they're meeting with them. They're saying, well, we'll go back and we'll run some numbers and we'll put together an estimate for you. And you put together a lot of time, a lot of energy, several hours of, depending on the project, of putting this together. And then you finally get to the moment of truth where they will have a reaction to the price that you're putting in front of them. By giving them that range, we're moving up that moment of truth a lot earlier in the process.
Right.
So,
and they can
we
say
have
no.
that we have that moment of truth, and sometimes, wow, that is just way more than I thought it would be. And then we don't run out the door. We educate them. We start to explain it to them. We show them examples of what that looks like and why it is what it is. But the big thing that we do after we give that free estimate or that ballpark range is that we are then able to say the next step in our process is the design and development process. Here's everything that includes, and the goal at the end of that is for us to have done so much work up front that your project goes smoothly, on time, on budget. And we have to devote a lot of time and resources to do that, and we do charge for that work.
Right. Boom. And how much do you charge for that work, Kyle?
We actually charge 2% of the high end of the budget range I gave you.
Oh, that's an interest. I've never heard that approach. Excellent.
Or we charge $2,000 for this kitchen.
Yeah.
Or fill in blank. The thing that I mentioned, you kind of like, that's interesting. A percentage of the high end of the budget range. Is that what jumped out at you?
Yeah. I've never heard that before. I like that.
The reason I kind of throw that out there is you kind of looked at the brackets of going, 70,000 is probably the accurate one. Hundreds maybe pie in the sky. I would say usually my remodelers are kind of putting that what they expect it to be, kind of in the middle of that. The reason I like to kind of present it at the high end of the range is, one, it catches their attention. It reminds them of what the higher number is, because all they're going to fixate on is the lower number. And thirdly, when I say, we do base it on the high end of the range, because what we have found is that as we walk people through all of the design decisions, as we walk people through all of the selections, people typically end up at the higher end of the range. That is what our experience has shown us. They decide that they do want to upgrade the countertop. They do want the slow close this. So we're already guiding them and leading them towards, through the process in a way that's going to be realistic for them.
People that aren't watching this on YouTube can't see me doing this, but
yes, you have a hand up, sir.
I have my hand up.
Yes,
but Kyle, what if they say no? What if they say that's too high? That's ridiculous. There's no way I'd spend 70 to 100 grand on my kitchen. And then I'll come back with the second question: is you want me to pay for an estimate when everybody else does it for free?
Yes.
But let's deal with the first one first.
Yeah, I mean, the first part of it is, again, that is exactly what that person would have said if you would have spent 5 hours working through some design, working through some estimating, and you finally get to the moment of truth. They would have said the exact same thing.
Yeah.
$87,000. We thought this was going to cost $40,000.
Yeah, and it was going to take a half hour, like on TV.
Yeah, but in my approach, you had a meeting and you shared that range and you educated them on why, and you presented what the next step in the process is. The other way, you have spent hours and hours and hours and you've piddled that away, and it's wasted time that you didn't go, your wife wasn't able to go to choir practice and you missed that soccer game. And
Yeah.
also you didn't have time to be a little bit more proactive with managing the project that you have going. You didn't have time to do that marketing that you're aiming to do. You didn't have time to review your profit and loss statement or your job cost reports, because there's so much wasted time chasing projects that are not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. It's the quality. What we're talking about here, folks, in the sales process is qualifying, making sure that we're dealing with only the best and most qualified customers. And you're not going to win them all. But we have to try. We have to try to win them all. But if they don't meet our criteria, then they have to move on. I had a situation where, and this happened to be a cabinetry company, so they didn't do remodels; they built kitchen cabinets. But we introduced the same model that you and I are talking about here, and the design fee was $2,500 per design. Well, they got almost no resistance to offering design fees, and they were a very professional organization, family business. You felt like it was a big hug you were walking into when you walked into their showroom. But what was interesting is that was a $60,000 lift to their business.
Yeah.
Just by doing $2,500 design consults.
Yep. So it can turn into a profit center. As people are starting down this process, I like to bring the barrier of saying yes, it's down as far as possible. So as part of that $2,500, by the way, if you decide to go forward with us, we'll apply that $2,500 to your final payment.
Right. And so I love that. Thank you for adding that in. I used to be partners with Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy is an author who's written many, many books: The Psychology of Selling, The Psychology of Achievement, Eat That Frog, etc. And when Brian was talking about dealing with price objections around this very subject, he would say, yes, we do free estimates for qualified customers. And so your estimate is free if you decide to go ahead with us, because we'll just knock it off the actual price of the renovation or the remodel or the roofing job, whatever it is. So we do free estimates for qualified customers. It sets you apart.
Yep. You could go that route again. I like to have a lot of space between free estimate and detailed design and development. And I like to make those things totally different things and spread out as far as I can, meaning the depth of everything that's going into the design and development, and you also know what you're getting with a free estimate. I also mentioned, just because you like the wording earlier, I mentioned applying that design development amount to the final payment. I've had clients do it where they apply it to the initial down payment. A client's not going to feel that very much. They're already cutting a deposit check, etc. I like to keep it at the end of the project, because we had that final little tweak, we had that final little change order, or whatever the case might be. But a lot of times when at the end, they've kind of forgotten all about it, and they look at that final invoice and they see minus $2,500. Oh yeah, I forgot all about that. And it's just a really nice. I think you get a little bit more lift. Move. Yeah, you get a little more lift out of it.
Let me stop for a second and remind people, folks, if you're not taking notes today, what are you doing?
It's a good question. I mean, if they're driving, we want them to not be.
I expect them to be typing as they're driving, pal.
Okay. Yeah, they might do things differently in Canada.
Take notes and make sure you're grabbing. This is good stuff.
Yeah. The second part that you asked was, what do you say when they say, you want to charge me for a free estimate? That was the second thing you were asking, right? Yeah. So, I mean, if somebody says that, I have not done a good job in the lead up of how I work to help them see the difference between those two things, right? Because, why do I charge? We don't charge for a free estimate. We don't charge for that ballpark range, for the time that I took to share ideas with you, to come out here, to evaluate your project, to hear your ideas, to think about projects that we've done, to apply my knowledge to that and give you that educated ballpark range. That's the free estimate.
Yeah.
But that's a big time difference between, let me show you some of the example designs that we do. So we do charge for this, but you see how you're going to get a wonderful feeling from a 3D model of what that's going to look like. You can see these examples of selection sheets. We're going to make sure there's no allowances. Say it with me, prospect. You hate allowances because they end up costing you time and money and extending your project. Oh yeah, I guess that is important. We do more work up front before a hammer ever hits the job site because we want this to be a wonderful experience for you. The horror stories that you hear is because somebody gives a non-detailed scope of work, a bunch of allowances. We haven't thought through the design details. We haven't thought through if we're going to put in the angle, if we're going to put the tile in straight or angled. None of that has been thought through. And that's where the nightmare stories and this kitchen project that should take X amount of time takes 4 times longer. Our process prevents that.
I love it. Yeah, and so what you're talking about here is like professionalizing our companies, making sure that we have a system. You know, I call them simple systems. But when I show a potential customer that I have a process for even accepting them as a new project, they know that I have a process for producing their project. And that's going to make all of the difference, because we've all been there at our own kitchen table when somebody's come and bid on some work for our house, and we've got 2 bids in front of us. Just for the sake of it, say one came in at $10,000, another one came in at $12,000. But the $10,000 job, I don't know, the guy was late for the meeting.
Yeah.
He wrote it on the back of his business card. He was dirty when he came in. He was rude. He didn't take off his boots. The $12,000 guy was professional, had nice looking material, didn't have to be fancy, was consistent in his approach, spoke well, explained his process. And you look at each other and go, you know what, for the $2,000, I don't want to take the chance on the $10,000 guy.
Yeah.
We can't afford it. We can't afford to take that $2,000 bet that the 10 grand guy is going to be our guy. Let's go with the $12,000 bid. And I'm talking, it could be awnings for your window, anything of that range. It doesn't matter, but you make the decision based on value for money.
Yep. So the couple comments on that, and some piggybacking on what else I said. You know, the whole clarity on 5 powerful words. This is how we work. This is how we work. Presenting your process. So many people listening to this, if I were to say, can you just show me high level, step by step, what your process looks like? Well, I can verbally say it because I do it and I mention it, but putting it in writing is so powerful. The thing when you start to charge for design and development, when I arrive at the job site, this person is already very well aware of what's going to happen at this meeting and also what the next step is, because they go to my remodeling website and they click on the Our Process page and they can see that step 1 is that phone call. Step 2 is the in-house appointment where we give you a ballpark range or free estimate. And then step 3 is the design and development process. Yeah. If they followed me on social media, I talk about the design development process a lot. When I was on the phone with them and getting to know their project, and I booked that in-person appointment, if that's the process that you have, some people ballpark price and qualify over even that initial phone or Zoom call. Very intriguing to do that initial meeting via Zoom, by the way, but that can be a talk for later. But when I'm showing up there, they are not surprised that I am charging for design and development, because my marketing and my sales and what I've said on the phone, they already are expecting it. If you're surprising them that you charge for design and development, you're not doing it right.
Right.
So that's another aspect of this.
Let me take you to another place in this, because obviously you've put this system in place for business owners for many years. Can you tell me about a story that you heard back from a business owner who went and tried it the first time and it didn't go so well? They came back and they said, hey, Kyle, I tried that thing we're working on. Here's what happened. Do you have a story for that?
Yeah. I had one that comes to mind of, well, we've tried that and it didn't work. Okay. How many times did we try it? A handful of times. Like how many times? 2. Okay. All right. 2 times. Were they surprised that you charged for design and development? Yeah, they were a little surprised. They were kind of taken aback by it. Okay. So we didn't really prep it very well or talk about it very well. Okay. So yes, there are times where, you know, we just are haphazard with it and we didn't do it properly, like a lot of new things we're trying. So I definitely have stories about that, but I have way more stories of somebody that is going into it with 20% confidence. I don't know if this is going to work. This is going to be scary to tell them this and to present this. And then they get a check in their hand with a signed design and development agreement, and their confidence goes from 20% to 90%.
Yeah, right away, doesn't it?
You are already doing most of this work. You just don't value it enough to start charging for it. Oh, by the way, you can apply that to their project to whittle that scariness down.
Yeah.
So what I hear more times than not is somebody that is intimidated by it. I don't know if it's going to work. I've heard you talk about it. I've heard some others, talk about it with success. I'm going to try it. I'm going to be brave enough to try it. And then once you get that first check, that totally changes the mindset of anybody who's doing this.
Yeah. The one story that comes to mind for me is I had somebody who was resistant to doing it, but they knew they needed to do it, and it was just kitchen remodel company, like most of us on your show and lots of people listening here are in kitchen remodel. And the number 2,500 wasn't comfortable to them. And so they knocked it down. They said 1,250. They kind of blurted it out. That in their mind, that was the value. And so when we had our next meeting, I said, how did it go? We went through a couple things. I said, well, did you get the design consult fee? And they said, yeah, but I didn't feel good saying 2,500. So I cut it to 1,250 and they took it right away. And this was a husband and wife pair. She was so happy they had done it. And then we've got to win. My next goal is not to belittle the effort of this business owner who's made this massive change. All I came back with, I said, okay, so you've sold one at $1,250, $1,250. It doesn't matter if you're not doing it at 2,500, but that's the last one you sell at $1,250. The next one has to be $1,251.
Yeah.
And so then the two of them are laughing. They're like, I know where you're going with this, Tom. But it doesn't matter. Just get on the path and you'll start to get better, right?
Yeah. And that's part of just, I don't really care charge 500, charge 400, charge 800, whatever's comfortable for you. That number will go up. This is long term. This is you deciding if you're going to transform your sales process to stop offering free estimates and wasting time. Here's something. I've taught this to, I don't know, well over 100 remodelers at this point. Not a single one of them have retracted it and gone back.
Yeah, I was just going to say, nobody goes back.
Tom, tell your listeners to rewind this 10 seconds so they can listen to that statement again.
Rewind this 10 seconds.
I've taught this to 100 people. See, even if they didn't follow your orders, so we'll still give it to them. Not a single one of them, once they build the confidence and clarity and process for this, have retracted back. It just, you once you are in that mindset, that doggone it, this is the key to the project going smoothly. I can't possibly do the amount of work up front if I'm doing this for free. And once you've had success with it, your main goal is simply to build the value and to sell the value of the design and development process. Ask me about why I keep saying design and development at some point too, because that's purposeful.
Hey, Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Why do you keep saying design and development process?
That is a wonderful question. You are an excellent podcast host, and I can't believe that you picked that question out of the blue. Part of the reason, the main reason for that is there are times where a lead might be coming from an architect, from a designer, or they might already have plans. And it's and I like to have that mindset of, wonderful, we offer design and project development. In this case, there's not a lot of design work to do. We still want to review that. We still want to contribute towards that, but we still definitely have the project development aspect of things. Here's all of the scope that goes into that work. And it just allows you, when we say design agreement, it kind of limits the way that sounds to a homeowner. And frankly, the project development is just as weighty and time consuming, if not more, than the design portion. So I like to really emphasize that development and explain what that means.
Fantastic. I think people should rewind this entire episode and listen to it again, because we're really talking about a change in the business model that moves you towards more profits and more personal time.
Yeah.
So I don't want to understate the importance of today's episode, and I'm really appreciative that you came here to share this.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody wants to find you in this big, wide world we live in, this worldwide, global, whatever you call it. Yeah, world we live in. How do we find you?
Let me answer that in a second. But if I could put a bow on our topic, yes, more profits. Yes, more time. But there's a ripple effect even greater than that of doing this. When you are properly doing the work up front in design and development, your production is going to go so much smoother. There's going to be less fires. The materials are going to be already selected and ordered well in advance. All of your trades have properly reviewed it and given you a fixed price number.
Right.
There's so many things that you guys and gals are dealing with. See what I did? I almost said guys. You guys and gals are dealing with in the field, and the majority of the fires is because we did not properly do the upfront work.
Yeah.
You cannot, I repeat, 15 years of coaching remodelers, you cannot offer free estimates and properly do design and development upfront. You will sign contracts that aren't detailed, and you'll have a bunch of selections, and your projects are going to be a lot more bumpy. So production goes smoother. There's a ripple effect that this does that really affects. And yes, because things run smoother financially, your job costing is tighter. You have less slippage. Your margins are held onto. You're able to produce more work. Your top line revenue is up, and yes to more profits and more time. Absolutely. So if somebody go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think we're going to have you back one day just to talk about the negative aspects of charging for design and project development.
Well, no one else is doing it.
That would be a short,
yes.
Be a short episode.
Yes. When somebody says, by the way, no one else is doing it, good. That means you're different.
Yeah. If all of my competitors have a lousy business model, good for them. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, back to mindset. What I say to myself when no one is listening is what the world sees when everyone is watching. And it's interesting that this topic today has so much to do with the mindset of success, of what I call being a forward-facing business owner.
Yeah, I like that.
You were just going to tell us where we find you.
I just had to put a bow on that.
Yeah.
So you can go to remodelersontherise.com, remodelersontherise.com. When you go there, you're going to see a link that's to the podcast. Got a podcast that's produced every week. You're going to see a link to Remodelers Vault, VAULT, where there's a bunch of free templates, tools, resources. You're going to find a link to Remodelers Community. You can also go to remodelerscommunity.com. That is a private Facebook group I have with going on about 1,500 remodelers, and it's really, really, really valuable. And the conversation level is very quality. So I'd recommend that. And that'll kind of get you to where my stuff is. When you do go to the website and you click on courses, you might just see a course where I unpack charging for design and development, in case you're intrigued.
You might see it there. Well, Kyle, I very much appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your insight, expertise, your humor. Just so you know, your humor is just about as good as mine.
Almost.
Yeah. It's.
I mean, you got a couple more years of practice. Yeah. You got a couple more years of practice than me, don't you?
Yeah, a couple more. It doesn't mean I'm getting any better.
That's right.
Yeah.
One of my actually my employees' brothers. He goes, "Hey, do you think your business is still has hit its peak yet?" And I said, Johnny boy, I'm in my prime right now, man. I'm in my prime. It's still going up. He goes, well, good, because we'd have to change your name to Remodelers on the Fall instead of Remodelers on the Rise.
Oh my gosh.
So like your humor is still on the rise, but there's going to be a time where it might peak.
Yeah.
It might go down, but we'll never know.
Oh no. My humor will continue to deliver badly, poorly timed. Yeah. I'm going to stop there because I have lots more to say, but that's probably a good place for us to stop. Kyle, thanks very much for being on the show. And I do think we're going to have you back again one day to unpack some more of the other areas of expertise that you bring.
Yeah, I would love to. Thanks for having me.
Hopefully I could be on your show too.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks.
Well. What did you learn from Mr. Kyle? What can you put in place in your business? Remember, in the next 24 hours. In the next 24 hours, I want you to put something in place. For sure, you picked up something from Kyle and myself that you can use. Go ahead and do that. I want to see what the impact is on your business. Hey, listen, let me move to the next part of this piece of the episode, which is to ask you a favor to leave a review. A lot of people have been leaving reviews lately, which is working. I appreciate it. We're getting more listeners to the show, and that means we can spread this message of inspiration, education, and education to more people. That's the goal of asking for referrals, and I very much appreciate it. Here's what JJR08 had to say about the podcast. He left a review on Apple iTunes for the Profit Tool Belt podcast. Here it is. Really good. I like it. This is an excellent show. I do renovations, and this is exactly what I need. I never feel like my pricing is right, and you help me get on top of it. Excellent. Thank you, JJR08. If I ever see a T-shirt with JJR08, I'll know who you are. I'll come across the floor. I'm assuming we're at a trade show for some reason, and I'll say hi. Wear that T-shirt, JJR08. Anyways, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it, folks. You can leave a review for the show as well. And again, it's not for me. It's so that you could pay it forward to somebody else. Think of it as an educational handhold. Somebody else out there needs to find this information so they can move their business up one level. Just leave a review somewhere, anywhere. Very much appreciated. Thank you for doing it. Now we're going to identify a common problem for contractors and subs. So for those of you new to the show, we break this into a couple of different segments. What I like to do at this part is identify a common problem that we all run into, and then give you some solutions to solve that problem as well. So today we're going to be talking about a situation where you're saying to yourself, and maybe you don't use these words, but maybe when I say them, you'll go, yeah, Rubino, God, I think that is what I'm looking for. That's what I'm hoping to help with. If you're in a situation where you need more time, or you feel like you need more money, hands up. Again, not if you're driving, but hands up if you need more time or more money. I don't know what you want to do with more time. Maybe you just want to sleep in like some people get to, and you've never been able to for the last 24 years. Here's one that always hits hard. And I've been in this situation myself where the buddy trip is coming up. Now, my buddies like to golf. I don't like golfing, so this one doesn't bug me as much. But I'll tell you when it bugs me a lot is when my buddies go on a fishing trip. And one of my companies is at the point where I can't pull myself away. And it's happened to me in the past where my friends have stopped asking me. You're like, Dom, your answer is always no. We just don't even ask you anymore. We knew we knew you'd be away. We knew you'd be traveling. Sorry, bud. It's not that we didn't ask you. We just didn't want to make you feel bad by asking you. If you're in a situation like that, where your friends have gotten to the point where they stop inviting you to the buddy trip, where they stop inviting you to the fishing trip or golf trip, whatever you guys like to, maybe you want to go see NASCAR, whatever it is, right? But if that stopped, come on, let's start to do something different so you can get a little bit of time away. And maybe it's a family trip. Remember when you married your sweet wife and you promised her Alaska cruise, Hawaiian vacation, maybe she wants to go golfing in North Carolina. Maybe she wants to go skiing in Tahoe. Maybe all of those things were part of your original plan, scuba diving in the Bahamas. I don't know, but if those things weigh on your mind, and yet you're working as hard as a donkey alone at a gristle mill, and you're thinking, I can't work any harder, Rubino. I'm working hard has stopped working. Well, this is what I want to help you with. If I was business coaching with you right now, like right now, we were face-to-face having a one-on-one coaching meeting with me, I'd be taking you through a series of small exercises to help us find the gaps and find the opportunities, right? Think about it like we've got this massive two dump trucks worth of gravel have been poured on your front driveway. You can't get through that driveway until you sift all of it and find the nuggets. We're going to be looking for 10 nuggets. When we melt all those nuggets together, we're going to get an 11th nugget. That's the one we're looking for. It's going to be a big block of gold. I just made that analogy up. I actually like it a lot. So imagine that this is what you and I are doing right now. There's a report that I have. It's called the cost of an hour. Like, what does it cost your company to run an hour? Look, if you can't rattle this number off the top of your head right now, we have a problem, but we have a solvable problem. We have something we can go fix. And it's easy. Like, I have to say, it's not hard to go find it. What's hard is, well, actually, you've done all the hard work. You found the podcast, you downloaded the podcast, you listened to the podcast. Now all you've got to do is take action. So the hard part is finding out where to get the info. Thankfully, you found this show, and thankfully, I deal with this stuff all the time. So the hard part is done. The easy part now is there's 11 boxes on this form. It's an Excel spreadsheet, so you can fill it in and it automatically calculates for you. Let me just count here for a second. So there's 11 boxes, but you fill in 10 and the 11th box appears on its own, right? So it's a little formula, or sometimes they're called wizards. Enter this number, enter that number, enter this number, and then bonk, it comes out at the end. That number at the end is your actual costs, including net profit, and I'm going to come back to that in a second, including net profit for running your business. Now, why is net profit important? Net profit is important because it comes after gross profit. And net profit is where you get the extra money that you're looking for. Remember when I talked about taking your sweet wife on that vacation she's always wanted to the Bahamas, to Vail, to North Carolina, to wherever? Or maybe you don't want to go on vacation. Maybe your daughter needs braces. Maybe your daughter needs braces and it's causing stress at your kitchen table. You're like, I don't know how to get just one more thing we have to finance. Look, come on. The reason that we get drawn to contracting first is because we love building things. But second, you can make ridiculous money in this industry, ridiculous money, and live a good life and build things you're proud of and leave a legacy and build a company that maybe your family wants to work in one day. This report will help you get there. It's just a couple of inputs and then you get the output. Anyways, all you got to do is shoot me a text. For those of you who are new to the show, the way to get me is to send me a text message and use the word go back. So just text me the word go back. And the cell phone number is 315-903-7853. Those of you who've been listening to the show for a while might already have this report, but then I'm going to challenge you. Have you sat down? Yeah. Have you had a chance? Maybe you're waiting for the accountability part of Dom. The Velvet Hammer of Rubino. If you already have that report and you haven't sat down to do it yet, can you please give me 3 good reasons why? I'm sorry, I just couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear your 3 reasons. Oh, you know why? Because the 3 reasons don't matter. If you want to fix something in your business, folks, you got to go do it. So here's what I want you to do. It's easy to solve. And by the way, I have to do this myself in my own business. Print off the report or get it on your laptop or something. Because I want you to leave the office. Go to a nice coffee shop, put in your headphones, face the corner, get a great coffee. Like treat yourself to a coffee. Don't get a beer. Don't get a whiskey. You got to have a clear head for this. And just fill in those 10 boxes. And the 11th box is made so the answer floats to the top. You now have the number you need to charge on a per hour basis and miss nothing. There's never any confusion on your site. The only way you can make mistakes doing estimates after this is if you blow it on materials. And that happens, but you can fix that. Or if you don't know site conditions, right? Let's say you're doing excavating, you didn't realize you're going to hit bedrock or there's a massive boulder sitting there. But site conditions is the only thing that can catch you after this. You have all your numbers to estimate for profits with confidence. Now, remember earlier I talked about net profits? So there's gross profits and then there's net profits. There's 2 different kinds of profit. It's explained in this sheet. So I won't take the time now. You can actually sit with it and consider it. Think about it. But your net profits is burned in. You're actually going to tell this form what you want to make this year out of this business. And then the company works towards your goal. You see, what I'm trying to get you to do is shift around here. That's my job as a business coach, is to get you to shift your thinking, and change your life. Taking these actions might seem small, might seem insignificant. You can ignore this form. Lots of people do. You can ignore this form the rest of your life. Most people do. But there's a very few select people who will take this form, use this form, think about this form, make tiny changes in their business, and they get to go on Alaska cruises in the private suite with the ocean view. They get to go diving in the Bahamas. They get to go on that golf trip with their buddies. As a matter of fact, they're phoning their buddies and saying, hey, let's go here, not there. They're the ones leading the charge to say, let's go fishing or whatever you like to do. It's easy to ignore this, but it doesn't go away. It's always there. Anyways, I hope you have it. I want you to have it. You guys can see that my level of accountability is I'm just going to apply constant pressure. I have to do this report in my own business as well. You have to do this report in your own business as well. Your dentist has to do it. The grocery store you shop at has to do it. Anybody in business needs some version of this form. This one happens to be specialized for those of us in the contracting trades. Not all boxes apply to every industry. These ones are just for contracting. So grab the form for me. It's 31. So you text me. For those of you who are new to the show, just text me the word go back. And the reason that you say go back when you text me is because this form actually has 3 different names. There's 3 places you can use it with 3 different problems in your business. One of them is when you're trying to figure out how much go backs cost you, you might call them punch lists. and you're trying to solve that problem. And in order to solve that problem, you want to attach a number to it. So that's why it's called the go back. It's also called the cost of an hour. Like, what does it cost in your company? We're right here at New Year's right now. January 1st, when you flick on the lights in your operations, what does that first hour cost you? And then the other thing that it gives you is what's a 1 hour job cost? Like, what does it cost to do one job for 1 hour? And a lot of times this relates to change orders. So there's 3 different ways that I'll apply this tool, but it's the same tool. Anyways, grab it from me if you need it. I've said the cell phone number enough times. Grab it if you want, or rewind the episode to get the number. I appreciate you being here. Look, until the day that you and I meet face to face across a table, have a glass of wine or a cup of coffee or something, this podcast is going to have to do. But I'm very proud of the fact that you listen in. Thank you for doing that. Many, many people have the opportunity to listen to the show, and very few do. You got to think across all of just North America, how many millions of contractors are there? Tens of thousands listen to the show. But how many of you will take action? I'm here waiting. I'm here to help any way that I can. I love what I do, and I can't wait to work with you and show you. In the meantime, use this to walk your way through it on your own. Thanks for checking in, folks. Have a great day. And as we approach New Year's, have a great New Year. We'll talk to you soon.